So as soon as it starts to tilt this way, it'll get away from you and head straight towards your face. And then you're trying to duck it or hits you in the throat. So don't do that. All right, what you do comes up a lot, so let's address it. Okay, so many people have asked me. Many people have put in their own input without asking me, which is okay too. Like, this is the internet, this is what people do, okay? Do you put collars on? Do you not put collars on? For me, the stronger the collar, the better. I want it on there sturdy, okay? So I like those lock collars. But here's some common mistakes people make, okay? They think that if they don't put the collar on, they could dump it in an emergency. And here's the problem. You can do that in an emergency. It's wildly unsafe if you've watched those videos. And here's a quick clip that I'll stitch in here of what happens. One side dumps off, the bar then whips to the other side, maybe hitting people, maybe just narrowly missing people. That's one issue. The second issue is, what about the times you don't fail and you're repping it out and the weights slowly shift? Well, 1 or 2 inches, heck, even half an inch on one side and not on the other of the weights shifting can really throw off that balance. And when you're pushing yourself to the max, when you have a lot of weight on the bar, that can make a huge difference. Here's a quick stitch of a video where that happens. Thank goodness there's someone to help him out and he gets back to working out. It can all be prevented by putting a collar on. Now, what do you do for safety? Good, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about all my videos. I have these safeties here in my bench. And so they catch the weight if I fail, okay? What if we don't have this? Well, do you have a squat rack, a 4-post squat rack where you can put the safeties in? Perfect, okay. What if we don't have that? All right. If you don't have that, another thing that I do, and it's what I do for squats too, that's more of a preference over the safeties, is I use box jumps. So if you've ever seen a World Strongman competitor do squats, you know, they often use these big metal old school strongman barrels around the weights. And then they squat down onto this platform where the weight actually hits the platform, and that's how they know they've gotten to depth. Well, what I do is I just lower it a little lower than that, right? Or wherever I want to go for depth. And so that if I fail, I can't come back up, I just set it down on those boxes. Well, you can do the same thing with bench. Get a couple of box jumps, put them off to the side, just below where your chest level is when you're benching, because you got a little arch, right? Then as you collapse that arch, it'll settle down onto the boxes. For me, 20 inches is the ideal height for bench and for squat, but you find that ideal height for you. We can modify that. If you don't have boxes, you might be able to use those stair steppers at the gym where you can just stack them up. They're for the cardio workouts. So you can stack those up as high as you want. That could be an option. But I encourage you, have safeties, because it is dangerous to not use a collar. I highly encourage the collar. So that's why I use collars. That's why I use safeties. I'll stitch a video of me failing. I fail basically every week. I push myself to failure. So here's me benching 405 this week and failing on those safeties. And that's what I do. So that is set just below my chest level. So if I collapse my arch, it still touches my chest. It's hard to get out, but it won't hit my chest hard enough to cause a heart attack, and it won't break ribs, it won't kill me. So I can just collapse that arch, get out from under it. And if all else fails and you catch yourself in a situation when you failed and you don't have any safeties and you still got those collars on so you can't dump the weight, what do you do? Okay, first thing, do not, you'll think it, but don't do it. Aim for those lower catches on the bench press. Please don't aim for those, because that is how you accidentally hit your throat, accidentally bounce it off your forehead. Ask me why I know, because in high school I bounced 115 pounds off my forehead because I failed, and I'm sitting here and I look up, oh, there's a lower rack height. Let me try to get to there. No, Now, if you can't do it here, you're not going to be able to do it here. So as soon as it starts to tilt this way, it'll get away from you and head straight towards your face. And then you're trying to duck it or hits you in the throat. So don't do that. What you do is when you fail and you feel it failing, bring it back down to your chest, your stomach, and roll it down your belly to your hips. And once you hit your hips, you'll be able to stand up. I'll stitch one more video for that. Okay, I hope that this answers all those questions, puts those comments to bed. I am gonna use collars. I just am. That's my preference. If it works for you to not have collars, good on you, go ahead. But I am gonna use collars myself. I'm gonna keep those weights tight and not let them shift.